Okay, we got a so-called feminist review of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice from Steve Shives. So let's try to watch this and not be too much cringe. Okay, so already he's kind of implying he hates the movie. So good start there, Steve. Steve.
So let's talk about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is a movie based on comic books, and as with many things, there are various types of comic book fans. There are the comic book fans who are drawn to characters like Superman or even Batman because these characters are aspirational, because these characters are wish fulfillment, they're escapism, because they give us role models, they give us ideals towards which to strive. You take the case of Superman. Obviously, we know that in real life, none of us could ever truly be as good as Superman. No one is that incorruptible. No one is that saintly. No one would ever be that kind of a reliable savior in real life. Surely a normal human being gifted with such power could not be counted on to be the hero that Superman is often depicted to be. But that's the appeal of the character to many of us. The feeling that we could be Superman if only we wanted to be badly enough. If only we could set aside our personal prejudices and biases.
Not really. Superman is an ideal to strive towards. To be the best you can be. That's what the character truly is. To not be corruptible, to always stand by your ideals and for good. That's what Superman represents.
And our own selfish needs and motivations. If only we could strive hard enough to be selfless and to think of others before ourselves, we could, maybe not as individuals, but certainly as communities, as societies, we could get somewhere close to the level of goodness and heroism that is represented in the character of Superman. So you have comic book fans who are like that, and then you
Yeah, so he's gonna do a straw man here.
have comic book fans who like to see people hit each other. And
So, what does he actually mean by that? Because the Dark Knight trilogy, it was violent. The people died, and it was a violent depiction of Batman in a very realistic setting, or as realistic as you can put Batman in. And then you have the 1989, which or and Batman Returns, which are very inspired by how Burton later has done his movies by doing very stylistic and not very realistic. Same with Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. There's violence in those as well. Hell, for all the Superman movies, there's violence, except for uh, where he doesn't really do anything. It's Superman Returns. So if you want a movie of Superman where he doesn't really do anything, you have Superman Returns. Now, I don't really hate Superman Returns, but it's not the best depiction of Superman. And I think that's what Steve here wants. But he could just go back and watch those. Cause I think what he wants is a passive Superman or even Batman.
And this movie is for that second group, pretty much exclusively. If you are the type of comic book fan or superhero fan in general, whether you're attracted to the comics or the movies and TV shows or whatever, if you're the type of superhero fan who is drawn to that genre and drawn to these characters because you like to see superpowered people punch each other, then there's a lot in this movie, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, that you will probably appreciate. If you are one of the people who likes Superman and Batman and other similar characters for some of the reasons I articulated a moment ago, or because you like things like story and characterization and theme, then you probably won't like this movie, and I should probably.
See, um, you're making out to be that you're the better fan, so to speak, and that there is no story in Batman v Superman. There are about 2 hours of story in that movie, and most of the action, not all of it, but most of the action is is in the last chapter of the movie. You have the chase of between the bad guys and the opening sequence, which will have action in it, but there's not a lot of really punching involved or stuff like that. So again, what movie did you watch? It seems like you want a happy-go-lucky Superman and Batman where nothing really happens.
Probably tell you, in case you haven't guessed, that I belong to the first group of comic book fans, and I did not like this movie very much at all. This is a movie that makes an incredibly compelling case for the notion that superheroes would be the worst thing to ever happen to humanity.
Um, so let me get this straight. If superhero existed, nobody would die ever, because that's what Marvel is doing. Whether you like it or not, but there's not a lot of consequences in all of the movies so far. There's not a lot of collateral damage really, except for perhaps in Incredible Hulk you have the second Avengers, and could probably add uh, the first Avengers. They don't really wreck that much. Same with Thor, the second movie. They don't really wreck that much. So again, there's not really a lot of stakes. So when it comes to let's look at Man of Steel. Superman has been Superman for a day, and he just began to learn how to fly. And then the Kryptonians come, and all sorts of stuff happen. Something they've been planning to do for a long time, and he can barely keep up because he's been Superman for a day, and th- that that's uh, that's why there's a lot of collateral damage in the first one. And the second one, yeah, I mean, people are gonna die when there are super human beings involved. If there's someone like Sod or Doomsday or Brainiac or whatever coming to Earth, there are gonna people who are gonna die, and you can't save everyone.
That superheroes are lawless and reckless and irresponsible and not to be trusted and certainly not to be looked up to or dependent upon to be our saviors and our protectors.
Except for that Superman saved Earth 3 times in Man of Steel. He saves I don't even know how many people. You don't actually see how many people he saves, but he saves a lot of people in Batman v Superman. He saves Batman, and he saves the Earth again. So I don't even know what he's talking about.
The movie makes a very compelling case for all of those things. The problem is, the movie doesn't seem to know that it's making that case. The movie seems to think.
I think they do. You don't just you don't understand reading between the lines and actually getting to if everything isn't explained to you, you don't understand it. That's what Zack Snyder does. Many people don't like it. I personally like how he handles the new DC cinematic universe.
That it's making another case, that it's presenting us with these very complex, morally ambiguous, uh, morally, ethically compromised heroes who are struggling to do good in the face of an imperfect world that makes it difficult, if not impossible, for them to do good. The movie thinks that's the case that it's making. It seems to me it's not making that case. Batman v Superman pays lip service to complex questions about the nature of heroism and the role, if any, that superheroes should play in a society. It pays lip service to those questions.
Well, take a look at it this way. In the first movie, Clark or Kal-El or Superman or whatever you want to call him, just finds out who he is, and his parents. It's another take on it. I have to admit, but they have another take on him where um, they want to guide him, but he has to make the decisions in his life ultimately. They can't make the decision for him. So that's why people are so mad when um, uh, Jonathan Kent asks or says maybe he should have let the kids in the bus die in the first in the Man of Steel movie. Um, he doesn't really know, but he just wants to protect his son uh, from the world. That's kind of the point. And in the second movie, you have a Batman that's pretty much broken and pretty much the villain in the movie until Superman actually saves him, and not in the term like where he's falling, but it saves his soul basically. And you have Superman, who where everyone goes out of the way to try to pull him down and stop him from being what he's trying to be. So he's not even the Superman from the comics. He's trying to be and becoming it. So when from the first movie, his father even says the humans, they will fall, they will stumble, but in the end they will join you in the light. Something like that. I may be mistaken if that's not the quote, but that's kind of in this movie where it shows humanity actually fumbles and Superman, even though after all he received all the stuff he received in the movie, he still manages to do what he's supposed to do and be good.
But it's not really interested in them. It's much more interested in showing us Batman and Superman and various other CGI assisted super powered figures punching each other, kicking each other, throwing each other into things, and blowing shit up. If you are the type of person who likes to see Batman use guns and shoot people, there's a lot in this movie that you'll enjoy because there are.
Actually, that's not what he actually does. In the fight, he doesn't actually shoot anyone, and I mean, Did you even watch the movie? Ah, yeah.
Multiple scenes where Batman uses guns to shoot and to kill people. Now, there is a very extended, elaborate dream sequence that sort of just takes place in the middle of the movie that exists for no reason other than to drop a little Easter egg in there.
No, again. Oh my god. Okay. You have Batman again. Look at it this way. He probably lost Robin either before or right after Man of Steel, and you combine it with what happened in Man of Steel, where basically half of Metropolis got wrecked. Thousands of people died, and he's pretty much become the villain. He doesn't care anymore. He kills, he brands people, he kills people. So he really doesn't care anymore. He's gonna go do whatever he does to take down Superman. And the dream sequence, it's not an Easter egg. It's showing a future, and even shows the Flash going back and telling him that that's not even an Easter egg. It's setting up for Justice League. Something is gonna happen, or they're trying to prevent something happening to Lois, because he says she is the key. Uh, and you see the future, basically Superman killing Batman for something Batman did or didn't do. And it's on Earth and Apocalypse, and yeah, basically the end of the world. That's what it is. But again, he doesn't get this.
For comic book fans who have a sharp enough eye to catch it and to do a little bit of clumsy foreshadowing, presumably for the forthcoming Justice League movie. Other than that, completely meaningless, shouldn't be in the movie. But there's a part of that sequence where Batman is just straight up taking guns and blowing people away. But less.
Actually, that's not what he's doing either. So again, I don't know where he gets this from.
Zack Snyder or his apologists attempt to use the dream sequence as an excuse for saying, well, Batman only shoots people in the dream sequence. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. The Batmobile has a hood mounted machine gun, which Batman uses to murder people. He shoots the machine gun at people, at cars filled with people. Yes, they are bad guys and they are shooting at Batman, but nonetheless, Batman in his armored, indestructible Batmobile uses a hood mounted machine gun to shoot at and murder the bad guys a few times in the movie. Oh, he stabs somebody too. So if you like to see Batman use guns to kill people and stab people, with knives. He stabs people too. And he brands people. He puts a bat-shaped brand on people, knowing that when they get to prison, as is established by a news report a bit later in the film, prisoners with the bat brand are targeted and are beaten and sometimes killed. So if that's the kind of Batman you like, you'll love this movie.
Just to give you some insight, Batman killed in the beginning of the comics and used guns. He even killed in the first Batman movie with a factory full of workers, and people die. He drops. He goes with the. You can watch the movie again. He drives with the Batmobile into the factory, drops four bombs coming out of his car, and basically blows everyone away. The Joker even dies. Um. So, and in the Dark Knight trilogy, in the first one, Ra's al Ghul dies. He basically kills him because he doesn't even, save him really. In the second one, he kills Harvey Dent. And in the third one, people in those tanks die. Where he shoots or the missiles he has after the bat, the bat wing, or the bat they call it. So, saying that Batman uses gun on his thing, the Tumbler had guns, where he blew cars away. You don't really know if they survive. So it's a little bit hypocritical for him to, and people who are calling this out. And again, look at this way: Batman is the villain. He's pretty much gone insane at this point. He doesn't really care about collateral damage, and he stabs people. Yeah, because he's brutal, but he doesn't actually kill them. And if you watch the movie again, it doesn't actually directly kill people. Um, there's a hand grenade which he kicks back, which the villain basically unpins. His own fault. People drive in a truck, their own fault. So he doesn't, and the branding, he doesn't really directly kill people, but he's responsible for them getting killed. So
If you like a Superman who is impotent and ineffectual, you'll love this movie because there are multiple scenes in the movie where Superman is either at hand or presumably very close by and would be able to prevent horrible death and destruction and mayhem, but doesn't. Either because he's too ignorant to know that something is going to happen, or he just doesn't care.
So what are you talking about? Are you talking about the people he saved from a factory that's burning up? How about the ship he pulls, the space thing that blew up and saves the people inside them? Um, are you talking about the court scene where things blew up? There's nothing really he could have done, and he didn't notice the bomb. So, what are you really referring to? Because that's the only part where I can actually see where he could maybe have stopped something from happening, but didn't.
Batman and Superman are not particularly concerned with helping people in this movie. We don't really see them acting as saviors. We don't see them acting as protectors. They're very interested in hitting each other and punching each other through buildings.
Again, what movie did you watch? There are sequences where Superman saved several people. Batman saves those slaves in the beginning. Um, and again, these aren't it's an adaptation for God's sakes. Um, where again, Superman isn't hasn't really been a Superman because it has been the only glimpse is of Superman is right before he goes charging against Doomsday at the end with the spear. That's where he basically becomes Doomsday and accepts that this is his home. He's gonna do everything to protect it.
Buildings, and then eventually at punching a common foe that rises to meet them both. But we don't see very much rescuing. Superman seems to care about rescuing Lois. He seems to care about rescuing his mother, but other than those two people who are personally known and close to him, he doesn't really seem to give a shit about anybody else. There is one scene where he flies to Mexico from Metropolis to rescue a woman trapped in a burning factory. He gets there in time to save this one person from the burning factory, and then presumably he leaves without putting out the fire or helping out in any other way. So he did at least make time.
Well, how do you know that? And again, is Superman supposed to save everyone? Because you can go back and watch the Donner movies, or the cartoons, because it wouldn't be possible for Superman to save everyone. And again, he even saves the people who are cut off from people in a flood, and Superman comes and rescues them. Again, the argument that he doesn't save people, it's
To save that one person that we saw. And he probably, presumably, saved some people who were trapped on a roof during a flood as well, after hovering ominously over them for what could have been a few minutes before descending.
yeah. You don't get metaphors or imagery, do you now, Steve?
and carrying them to safety. The movie doesn't care about showing us Superman or Batman helping people. Now, the movie is very fond of telling us how good Superman is, how heroic Superman is, how much people love Superman.
No, because people are conflicted. Again, there are people that him. You have the guy in the wheelchair, doing the statue and putting false god on it. You have Lex Luthor trying to discredit him. You have the court scene. You have the scene in the beginning with the terrorists, which kind of goes into why people are trying to blame him on stuff. That's what kind of make people doubt him, and he doubts himself, which Lex Luthor put in motion. Again,
But the movie rarely shows us Superman being good, being heroic, doing anything to show himself worthy of the love and admiration we are told people have of him. Batman is a person in this movie who experienced the destruction of Metropolis at the end of Man of Steel firsthand. We are shown in the movie's first scene that Bruce Wayne was in Metropolis during Superman's battle with General Zod at the end of Man of Steel, and he witnessed the destruction wrought by that battle from the ground firsthand. And unlike Superman on that day, Bruce Wayne did at least attempt to save the lives of innocent people who were caught in the middle of all that destruction. So
okay, so let me get your logic straight. In the middle of the battle, he should have just ignored Zod and just let him wreck rest of Metropolis and to try to save maybe a few people instead of taking Zod down and then try to save as many people as possible. Because what you're making an argument here, it doesn't make any sense.
or at least one hero point for Bruce Wayne ahead of Superman. So Batman experiences Superman's 9/11 in Metropolis, and he decides that Superman needs to be destroyed for the good of humanity. Now, I think what the filmmakers were trying to do was to present us with a conflict where Batman was unfairly judging Superman, where Batman was not approaching this issue with all the facts. You know, he blamed the whole thing on Superman and didn't blame as much of it, or if any of it, on General Zod or the world engine that was causing a lot of the damage or whatever. He's just putting all the blame on Superman. And we're meant to think that Batman is being unfair, I think. That Batman has been pushed to this extreme position out of his emotional response for being there on the ground in Metropolis that day. And that Batman's not really being fair. The problem is I can't see the argument against Batman's point of view. We can talk about how irrational Batman is being when he says to Alfred, if there's a 1% chance that Superman.
Well, that's kind of the point of the movie. You empathize with both sides, and again, Superman saves the Earth 3 times in Man of Steel. He gave the key and the knowledge from Jor-El to destroy the ship. He destroyed the the ship on the other side in South Pacific. He basically saved everyone in Smallville. Well, I could add that as well. And in the end, he killed Zod, which was the last threat to Earth. Had Superman died, Earth would have been done.
Means us harm, that we have to treat it as an absolute certainty. I think someone else pointed out that that's Dick Cheney logic. Um, we can point out how irrational that is, but my problem is the movie does not show us a Superman that is substantially different from the Superman that Batman thinks Superman is. Superman in this movie, as he was in Man of Steel, is selfish, is reckless, is shown to be minimally concerned with the lives of normal, innocent people, is cold and intimidating.
No, he's not. Oh dear. Oh god.
And just not a very nice guy to be around. There is no contrast between Superman and Batman in terms of personality, in terms of motives, or even in terms of methods, because they both
Yeah, that just shows you don't know anything.
presumably get people killed through their inaction and through the recklessness of their deeds. What else about the movie? Oh yeah, there's a really terrible villain named Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg, who is a fine actor, and like most of the actors in this movie, does a fine job. The actors in the movie are not to blame. Henry Cavill does as good a job with his miserably written Superman as he probably could have done. Ben Affleck does as good a job with this miserably written Batman as he probably could have done, or as anybody could have done. The supporting cast is fine. Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Diane Lane as Superman's fucking horrible mother, Martha Kent. You wonder why this Superman is such a shit show. It's because he had terrible parenting. There's a scene in this movie where Martha Kent, Superman's mother, basically tells him, don't worry, baby, you don't have to save people if you don't want to. You might have amazing powers, but if you don't feel like saving people, you don't have to. Anyway,
Yeah, completely. Again, missing the point where she says, as a normal guy, Superman doesn't owe the world a thing. He already saved the planet. So as any citizen, he doesn't owe the world to save it, but he could. And she says, "Be their angel, be their savior." Something I can't remember. Uh, and again, it says he can be anything he wants to be. He can just be a regular guy, or he could save the world. So
I was like, oh yes, Jesse Eisenberg's terrible. Not Jesse Eisenberg's fault. It's a terribly written character. It's not so much a character as it is a collection of tics and irritating quirks and neuroses and eccentricities and supervillain cliches. We have a movie that is loud, way too long, filled with way too many scenes that are just completely pointless, have no narrative function in the movie. It's incredibly violent and pointlessly so. It's exactly the kind of infantile, adolescent, meaningless violence that Zack.
okay, so the violence. So the oh my God. The reason for them to fight is pretty clear, and for them to stop fighting and I have to save the world basically. Um, it's actually less violent and has less collateral damage than Man of Steel, and Man of Steel actually had less action and violence than Avengers had, because if you take the action sequences, it had like Avengers had like 5 minutes more or something in action sequences. So again, saying that DC has more action compared to Marvel is kind of stupid, because there are people who die in the Marvel movies. Not that many, but they do die.
Snyder trades in and seems to delight in. And I can imagine Snyder himself walking out of the premiere with a fucking erection, popping the zipper out of his pants because he just loves this uber violent macho horseshit that this movie is just drenched in. I didn't like the movie, I guess is the point I'm trying to put across. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was well written or well directed or well edited or well paced. I think there are some very big emotional moments toward the end of the movie that it in no way earns. There are several incredibly important scenes at the very end of the movie that hinge on us liking Superman, caring about Superman, thinking of Superman as good, and the movie has shown us no reason to think of him as any of those things. Ditto for Batman. Batman has a couple of turning points where first he thinks about Superman in one way, then he comes around and thinks about Superman in another way. There is almost no justification for this. In fact, the meager justification that the script does offer is so ridiculous that it is one of the most insulting moments in the entire movie.
Yeah, what he's talking about here, it is the Martha scene, which not a lot of people kind of get. It's where Batman realizes he's becoming Joe Chill, and basically becoming the murderer of of his own parents, and he sees that he's gonna do the same towards Superman, and realizes he's in that moment he's that kid that Bruce was um, as a small child, and realizes he's the good guy, and uh, actually saves the soul of Batman. He realizes that he's been doing things all wrong, looking at it as an enemy instead of actually someone who's trying to save the world. That's that's what the scene means. So
But you might think that I'm upset, and I'm not actually. I told myself months ago, when the first trailers for this movie came out, when it looked like it was going to be an absolute shit show, I said to myself, and I said to some other friends, and I may have even said it publicly, you know, if this movie is as bad as it looks, then I'm out. No more DC movies for me. At least until they reboot it again and take it from the hands of Zack Snyder and David Goyer and give it to people who are actually interested in making films and not just smashing pixels together. So, thanks, Batman v Superman. Thank you. I'm free. I can go back to the Marvel films that haven't let me down so far and just be happy. Just enjoy life.
yeah, so you kind of get see the seeds during the whole review here, where his feminism point of view, he constantly bashes the violence in Man of Steel and this movie. Now I can understand that people don't like the the style of Zack Snyder, but his biggest complaint about the movie is because it is violent, and the I mean, all action hero movies or superhero movies are full of violence. So it's such a stupid argument, and this is why you should never listen to someone who is a feminist trying to review something with such a heavy bias. Um, because having a complaint where pretty much know it's gonna from the tone of the first one, you pretty much know what kind of setting the this world is. It's a serious world where people are where there are consequences. People are dying, and um, this guy doesn't like violence. So I don't know. This is my take. I saw this review and I thought I'll give my 2 cents on someone who is critical of the movie and giving my counterpoint to this movie. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching and see you guys next time. Bye.